There are moments in life that feel like echoes of something eternal, whispers of destiny woven into the fabric of time. Love, when divinely orchestrated, is not a mere collision of two wandering souls. It is a convergence, a meeting preordained in the chambers of heaven before your first breath. When you meet the one aligned with God's will, the air shifts, the rhythm of your life subtly changes, and the things you once questioned begin to make sense. It will not be forced, nor will it demand you to abandon the essence of who you are. Instead, it will refine, sharpen, and awaken the purpose hidden within you. Silence will no longer feel empty, but full of meaning, full of presence, full of God. Because love, true love, is never just about two people. It is about the divine hand that wrote the story long before you knew you were a character in it. And when it happens, you will know. When God aligns two lives, when he brings together the pieces of a puzzle that were always meant to fit, there is something unmistakable about it. It's not rushed, it's not forced, it's not built on anxiety or desperation. It is a divine stillness, a peace that settles deep in your spirit. So deep that even when doubt tries to creep in, even when fear whispers in your ear, something within you holds steady. Something within you knows. You see, the world will tell you that love is supposed to be dramatic, that it's supposed to be filled with tension and unpredictability, that you're supposed to be on an emotional roller coaster to prove how much you care. But that's not the way God writes love stories. When God is in it, there is peace. Not the kind of peace that comes from circumstances lining up perfectly, but the kind of peace that exists even when they don't. The kind of peace that stays even when the storm is raging, even when the road ahead is unclear, even when you don't have all the answers. Because when God has brought two people together, their spirits recognize each other before their minds fully understand it. Have you ever met someone and felt like you had known them forever? Like something in your soul exhaled when they walked into your life? That's not a coincidence. That's alignment. And alignment doesn't always come with immediate fireworks. Sometimes it comes with quiet certainty. Sometimes it comes with a feeling of safety, of knowing you don't have to perform, you don't have to prove, you don't have to manipulate the situation to work in your favor. You can just be. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be challenges. That doesn't mean you won't have moments of uncertainty. But peace is not the absence of difficulty. It's the presence of God in the midst of it. And when he is at the center, when his hand is guiding the relationship, even the trials won't shake you the same way. Even the disagreements won't feel like disasters. Even the moments of waiting won't drive you to desperation. Because you know deep in your soul that what is meant for you cannot be taken from you. That what God has written, no man can erase. And let me tell you, when God aligns two people, distractions will try to pull you apart. The enemy will try to plant seeds of doubt. People will question it. Insecurities will rise. Circumstances will test your patience. But through it all, you will find that peace remains. And that peace isn't just an emotion, it's a confirmation, it's a divine marker that says, this is where you are supposed to be. Some of you have been searching for signs, asking for clarity, wondering if the love in front of you is truly from God. And I want to ask you this, does it bring you peace? Not just on the good days, not just when things are going your way, but in the moments of uncertainty, in the moments of waiting, in the moments where things don't look exactly how you thought they would. Do you still feel a deep knowing that you're in the right place? Because God doesn't give confusion. He doesn't give chaos. He gives clarity. He gives rest. He gives assurance. So don't ignore it when you feel that peace. Don't let the noise of the world make you question what God has already confirmed in your spirit. And don't be so caught up in looking for grand, dramatic signs that you miss the quiet, steady whisper of God telling you, this is it. Because when God has written your love story, you won't have to fight for a seat at the table. You won't have to beg to be chosen. You won't have to prove your worth or manipulate the outcome. When God is in it, peace is present. And when peace is present, you can trust that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Love, when it is God-ordained, is not just about what you feel, it's about what is built, because emotions will rise and fall, passion will ebb and flow, but a relationship that is divinely orchestrated stands on something far deeper than fleeting emotions. It is built on a foundation of purpose. When the right person enters your life, their presence doesn't just excite you, it elevates you. They don't just make you feel good in the moment, they push you toward who you were always meant to become. Because love that is truly from God is not meant to keep you stagnant. It is meant to stretch you, to challenge you, to refine you into the version of yourself that God designed before you even took your first breath. Too many people get caught up in relationships that feel good but bear no fruit. They get attached to people who entertain them but don't edify them. They chase chemistry and forget about calling. But when God sends the right person into your life, there is a shift. Something changes, not just in how you feel, but in how you grow. Suddenly, you find yourself dreaming bigger, reaching higher, becoming more disciplined, more intentional, more focused on the things that truly matter. And it's not because they forced you to change, it's because their presence activated something in you that had been lying dormant. And that's the key right there. The right person will not diminish you, they will develop you. They will not just love you where you are, but they will see the potential in you and call it forth. They will speak to the gifts you have not yet unwrapped. They will remind you of the anointing on your life when you start to doubt it. They will challenge you not to criticize, but to sharpen you the way iron sharpens iron. Because love, real God-ordained love, is not a distraction. It is not something that pulls you away from your destiny. It is something that aligns with it. It is something that moves in harmony with the plans God already had for you before you even met them. And that's how you know. That's how you discern whether what you have is just a moment or something that is meant to last. Because if love pulls you away from purpose, if it makes you compromise who you are, if it dims your light instead of fueling your fire, it is not from God. Some of you have been praying for confirmation, asking God to show you whether this relationship is the one He has ordained for you. And I ask you this, are you growing? Are you becoming more of who God called you to be? Do you feel challenged in the best way? Do you feel inspired to step up, to do better, to be better? Because love should never make you shrink. It should never make you settle. It should never make you abandon the dreams God placed in your heart. And let me tell you something. When it is right, you won't have to beg to be seen. You won't have to plead for support. You won't have to explain why your purpose matters. Because they will see it, they will honor it, and they will push you toward it. They will want to see you win, not just for their sake, but for yours. Because they understand that love is not just about what two people feel for each other, it is about what they build together. So don't settle for a love that keeps you comfortable but stagnant. Don't settle for a relationship that entertains but does not evolve. Don't ignore the signs when God is showing you that He has more for you. Because the right person will not only love you, they will grow you. They will push you toward the best version of yourself. And when you find that, you'll know that what you have is more than a feeling. It's a foundation. And on that foundation, God can build something that lasts. When God aligns two people for a divine partnership, something powerful happens. Peace enters the equation. Not the kind of peace that comes from comfort, not the kind of peace that comes from avoiding problems, but the kind of peace that surpasses understanding. The kind of peace that settles deep in your soul, even when life gets chaotic. The kind of peace that whispers, this is right. See, when something is from God, you don't have to force it. You don't have to wrestle with constant confusion. You don't have to sit up at night questioning whether you are loved, valued, or chosen. Because when God sends the right person into your life, they won't leave you in a state of uncertainty. Their presence won't be a question mark. It will be an exclamation point, a confirmation, a steady assurance that you are exactly where you need to be. Some of you have been in relationships where love felt like a battlefield, where every day was another struggle, another fight to be seen, another attempt to prove that you were worthy of staying. Some of you have spent too much time trying to convince someone to love you the way you deserve, trying to piece together broken fragments of something that was never whole to begin with. And let me tell you something, when it is God's will, love does not feel like a constant war. It does not leave you second guessing your worth. It does not drain you to the point where you lose yourself just trying to hold on. Now, that doesn't mean a godly relationship is perfect. It doesn't mean there won't be challenges, disagreements, or moments where you have to fight for each other. But there is a difference between fighting for something worth keeping and fighting to hold on to something that was never meant to be. There is a difference between working through struggles together and being the only one carrying the weight of the relationship. When God sends the right person, you are not in it alone. You are not the only one making sacrifices. You are not the only one trying to make it work. Because when it is right, both hearts are invested. Both people are showing up. Both are willing to put in the effort. Not out of obligation, but out of love. Some of you need to stop mistaking chaos for passion. Some of you need to stop believing that love is supposed to be this never-ending emotional roller coaster that leaves you exhausted. Love is not meant to be a constant storm. When God is in it, there will be an anchor, there will be stability, there will be a deep abiding peace that does not fade even when challenges come. Because let me tell you, challenges will come, storms will rise, but when you are with the right person, you won't be afraid of the storm. Because you'll know you're not weathering it alone. And that is what God desires for you. A love that is not built on games, manipulation, or fear. A love that does not require you to compromise who you are or question your worth. A love that is steady, intentional, and reflective of the very heart of God. Because true love, real love, the kind of love that God ordains, does not keep you anxious. It brings you peace. So if you are in a relationship and all you feel is anxiety, if your spirit is constantly uneasy, if you find yourself wrestling more than resting, I need you to ask yourself, is this really from God? Because love that is from God does not torment your soul. It nourishes it. It strengthens it. It settles it. And when you find that kind of love, you will know, not because it will be perfect, but because it will be right. Not because it will never be tested, but because it will endure. And when you stand in the presence of something that God himself has ordained, you will no longer have to chase peace, because peace will already be there. When God is in the foundation of a relationship, one thing becomes clear: growth. Not just individual growth, but a kind of divine expansion that happens when two people are truly aligned with the will of God. Because when you are with the right person, they won't just love you where you are, they will see where you are going. They won't just be drawn to your potential, they will push you toward it. They will call out the greatness inside of you and challenge you to walk in it. See, love is not just about how someone makes you feel in the moment. It's not just about comfort or companionship. Love, true love, is about elevation. It's about purpose. It's about two people sharpening each other, stretching each other, and pushing each other closer to God. Because a relationship that is divinely orchestrated is not just about romantic connection. It is about spiritual acceleration. Some of you have been in relationships that felt like dead weight, where you had to shrink who you were just to make it work, where you had to dim your light because the person next to you was too intimidated by your glow. Some of you have been stuck in situationships that kept you stagnant, relationships that suffocated your dreams, connections that forced you to settle when God was calling you higher. And let me tell you something, when the right person comes into your life, they won't require you to shrink. They will inspire you to expand. They won't hold you back. They will push you forward. Now, I'm not talking about somebody who just talks a good game. Anybody can say they support you. Anybody can claim they believe in you. But the one God has for you will show it. They will encourage you when you doubt yourself. They will push you when fear tries to hold you back. They will celebrate your wins and pray over your battles, because real love, the kind of love that God ordains, is not intimidated by your growth. It is invested in it. And this goes both ways. Because just like the right person will push you, you will push them. You will sharpen them. You will inspire them. You will bring out the best in each other, not through pressure, not through force, but through the natural God-ordained alignment of your spirits. Some of you are in relationships where you feel like you're dragging somebody along. You feel like you are the only one with vision, the only one trying to move forward, the only one trying to build something greater. And let me tell you, that is not what God wants for you. Because when it is right, you will not have to drag them. They will be walking with you. You will not have to beg them to support your dreams. They will already be there, cheering you on, lifting you up, and believing in what God has placed inside of you. The person God has for you will be a partner, not just in love, but in purpose. They will see beyond the surface. They will recognize the calling on your life and challenge you to step into it fully. And that is why you cannot settle. That is why you cannot waste time in places that do not push you to grow. That is why you cannot stay connected to people who only love the comfortable version of you, but get intimidated when God starts to elevate you, because the right person, the one that God has prepared for you, will never be threatened by your growth. They will never feel insecure about your success. They will never ask you to choose between love and purpose, because they will be a part of your purpose. And when you find that kind of love, you'll know, because instead of holding you back, they will help you rise. Instead of dimming your light, they will help you shine. Instead of making you feel small. And when that happens, you won't just be in a relationship, you'll be stepping into destiny. When God sends the right person into your life, there is a peace that comes with it. Not a fragile peace that crumbles under pressure. Not a temporary peace that only lasts when things are good, but a deep, abiding peace that stands firm, even in the storm. Because when something is from God, it doesn't bring confusion. It doesn't leave you in a constant state of questioning, wondering where you stand, doubting whether you are enough. No, when it's from Him, it settles you, it brings clarity, it aligns with the rhythm of your soul. Some of you have been in relationships that drained you more than they built you. You've been in situations where love felt like a battle, where peace was a privilege instead of a promise. But let me tell you something. God never intended for love to feel like warfare. Yes, relationships require work. Yes, every connection has its challenges, but turmoil is not a prerequisite for love. Confusion is not a foundation for commitment. Because when God is in it, it may not always be easy, but it will always be clear. The right person will not leave you second guessing their intentions. They will not have you wondering where you stand. They will not play games with your heart, testing your patience, keeping you in a state of emotional uncertainty. No, when love is right, it is steady, it is consistent, it does not waver with the wind, does not falter under pressure, does not disappear when things get tough. The right person will make their presence known, not just with their words, but with their actions. See, love is not just about what is spoken. It is about what is shown. And when someone truly loves you, you won't have to chase them for reassurance. You won't have to beg them to make you a priority. You won't have to spend sleepless nights wondering if they still care, because their love will be evident in the way they show up for you, in the way they protect your heart, in the way they make you feel safe. Some of you have been conditioned to believe that love is supposed to be a constant struggle, that you have to fight for someone's attention, that you have to prove your worth, that you have to convince someone to choose you. But that is not love. That is a performance. That is not partnership. That is a power struggle. And God never called you to perform for love. He never called you to beg for what he already set aside for you. When it's right, it will fit. It will flow. It will not require you to sacrifice your sanity just to hold on to it. Now, let's be clear. I'm not saying relationships won't have trials. I'm not saying you won't have disagreements, misunderstandings, moments of frustration. But even in those moments, there will still be peace. There will still be security. There will still be an undeniable knowing that this is where you belong. Because when God joins two people together, it is not built on temporary emotions. It is not built on shallow attractions. It is built on divine alignment. And that kind of love does not bring anxiety, it brings assurance. That kind of love does not bring turmoil, it brings trust. That kind of love does not leave you guessing, it leaves you grounded. Some of you have been trying to force a relationship to work, even though every time you turn around, it's full of chaos, full of uncertainty, full of doubt. And you keep holding on because you think that if you just try harder, if you just give more, if you just become more, then maybe it will finally feel right. But let me ask you this. Why would God send you a love that costs you your peace? Why would God bless you with something that only brings burden? Real love, the kind that God ordains, does not drain you, it fuels you. It does not break you down, it builds you up. It does not keep you in turmoil, it brings you into truth. And when you find that kind of love, you won't have to chase it, you won't have to question it, and you won't have to fight for it to stay. Because what God sends, he sustains. When God places the right person in your life, there will be confirmation, not just in your spirit, but in the way they love you, honor you, and align with the purpose he has set for you. See, some of you have been caught in relationships where you've had to force a connection, force understanding, force love. But real love, the love that is God-ordained, does not have to be forced. It does not require you to convince someone of your worth. It does not ask you to compromise your values just to keep them around. When it's right, there will be a sense of divine agreement between you, them, and God. A knowing that transcends attraction. A peace that settles deep in your spirit. And that doesn't mean there won't be challenges. That doesn't mean there won't be moments where you both have to grow, stretch, and sacrifice. But even in the stretching, there will be stability. Even in the growing, there will be grace. Because love that is meant for you will be marked by God's presence, not just by passion. See, too many people confuse intensity with intimacy. Just because a relationship is passionate does not mean it is purposeful. Just because someone stirs your emotions does not mean they are assigned to your destiny. Some of you have stayed in relationships because they made you feel something, but they never actually made you better. And love that does not elevate you, love that does not edify you, love that does not push you closer to God is not love that was meant to last. Now, I'm not talking about perfection. I'm not saying the right person won't have flaws, won't make mistakes, won't have to learn how to love you properly. But what I am saying is that real love will be committed to growth. It will be committed to understanding. It will be committed to becoming better. Because love, real, God-ordained love, is not just about how well you start. It's about whether or not you are both willing to build together, fight together, and heal together. And some of you have been waiting, praying, asking God, is this the one? Is this the person you have for me? And God is saying, stop asking if they are the one and start looking at the fruit they produce in your life. Because the right person, the person sent by God, will not just say they love you, they will show it. They will show it in the way they respect you. They will show it in the way they cover you in prayer. They will show it in the way they correct you in love, not in condemnation. They will show it by how they fight for the relationship, not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. So if you're questioning whether the love you have is real, stop looking at the words and start looking at the works. Because love is not proven in promises, it is proven in patterns. And if the pattern of this relationship is filled with confusion, doubt, and pain, then you have to ask yourself, is this love or is this attachment? Is this God's will or is this my will? The one God has for you will pursue you, not just in the beginning, but consistently. They will cherish you not just when it's convenient, but even when it requires sacrifice. They will love you not just in words, but in action. And that kind of love will not leave you questioning. It will not leave you feeling unseen, unheard, or unworthy. Because when God places someone in your life, he doesn't send them to diminish you. He sends them to strengthen you. And if you have to keep begging, keep chasing, keep convincing, then my friend, maybe it's not from God. Because what he sends, he sustains. What he blesses, he builds. And when it's truly from him, you won't have to wonder. You will know.